So now that Colby Covington is coming off his victory over Jorge Masvidal, there's a lot of questions on what's going to happen next. Now, if he keeps winning the way he is, Dana White has mentioned that he's probably going to get a third title shot opportunity against Kamaru Usman. For me personally, I think that trilogy's finished. I mean, Kamaru Usman's beaten him twice now. There's no reason for there to be a third fight, really. I mean, it'll be competitive. Don't get it twisted. It might be better, but I just don't see it happening. Like, I see no reason for that. If Kamaru Usman won one and Colby Covington won one, then there should be a third fight to prove who's the victor in that trilogy. But Kamaru Usman has beaten him twice, so I just don't see the point in that. I feel like there's several fighters in his own weight class that he should fight. He should fight Vicente Luque, Gilbert Burns, Leon Edwards, Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, there's several fighters that he could potentially fight. Michael Chiesa. I mean, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. These are fighters that he should be fighting. I mean, he's thinking of fighting Dustin Poirier next. And fair enough, obviously they've been beefing and all of that. But I feel like there's people in his own division that he should be fighting, and that's who he should fight. I'm not a fan of fighters constantly switching divisions, and I'm more of a fan of one fighter completely dominating a division before thinking about moving on to the next division. I mean, we saw that happen with GSP, who's considered the greatest ever. GSP completely dominated the welterweight division, defended his title several times, beat the who's who of the welterweight division, and then he decided to go up to middleweight after retirement. After he came back from retirement, beat Michael Bisping, then won the middleweight title. I mean, that's the way to properly do it. Is to completely clean out your division, then think about moving up. Obviously, he's not the greatest fighter in his own weight class. I mean, the best fighter in his own weight class is undeniably, if you talk about the greatest of all time, it's GSP, but in this era, it's obviously Kamaru Usman. But the fact is, there's several top fighters that you could be fighting in the welterweight division right now that he's not fought yet. Like before this, like who did he beat? He beat RDA, who's a smaller fighter, who's from the lightweight division. He beat Robbie Lawler, who was a bit past it. He beat Tyron Woodley, who was coming off three losses. And then obviously he was very competitive against Kamaru Usman. Obviously the win over Jorge Masvidal was quite good. But apart from that, his resume is not exactly stacked, is it? I mean, with prime welterweight names. If he can beat a Leon Edwards, a Gilbert Burns, a Vicente Luque, possibly a Khamzat Chimaev, I mean, I think he can warrant himself getting a third title shot, even though I don't really want to see it because I've already seen it twice. I mean, to some extent, he justifies himself getting that title shot. You can argue that even Kamaru Usman has got a few opponents left, like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Michael Chiesa, Vicente Luque, Khamzat Chimaev. If he can beat them, like, people have got this narrative that he's double lapping the division, and to some extent he is, because he's beaten Jorge Masvidal twice and he beat Colby Covington twice, and he's going to fight Leon Edwards, and if he beats him, then he's beaten another top welterweight twice, which is impressive, no doubt about it. But there's still names out there that he could potentially fight. Don't get it twisted, Kamaru Usman is heads and shoulders above everyone at this point in time, and he's legit. But I'm just saying, like, there's still names in the welterweight division that he's not fought that he could potentially fight if he wants to really prove his greatness. So yeah, I still think there's fights in his own weight class that he should take that he's probably not thinking about taking. So he's got options out there. He doesn't need to take the Dustin Poirier fight. The Dustin Poirier fight is going to force Dustin Poirier to come up to welterweight, and to be fair, he fights at lightweight, so it's gonna make Colby look like a bit of a weight bully. Even though I think Dustin Poirier could make welterweight if he really wanted to, because he's a big dude. I mean, he walks around at 190 when he's not in training camp, so he could make it. But I just feel like he should clean out his own division before he even thinks about these fights. But obviously, like a grudge match against Dustin Poirier will sell quite well, and obviously getting a victory over him is quite good for his legacy, because even though he lost to Charles Oliveira, I mean, Dustin Poirier is no joke. I mean, he's got one of the best resumes outside of the champions, so you can see the logic that he's got there. But I think to some extent, clean out your own division before you ask fighters to move up or move down. I mean, if you look at fighters like fighters in the past, like the likes of Marvin Hagler, before he fought like the likes of Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard, who were coming up in his own weight class to fight him, Thomas Hearns and such, he did clean out his own division to some extent. He made like several title defenses. To some extent, Colby's not done that because he needs to beat the champion to get the title to make title defenses, but he can still fight other people in his division that he's not fought. That could be competitive fights for him. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. Tell me your thoughts. Maybe you want to see the Dustin Poirier fight. To be fair, it's a good fight. I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I just think there's plenty of good fights in his own division that he could be making, other than the Dustin Poirier fight. But obviously that's just my opinion. Tell me your opinion below, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.